There is a forgetting deeper than sleep. It does not come in the night, but in the light of day, in the cradle, in the classroom, in the steady hum of the world going about its business. It is a forgetting that feels like fog on a mirror, not obscuring your reflection entirely, but distorting it just enough that you no longer recognize the face staring back. You sense, in moments of quiet, that something is missing. A name on the tip of your tongue, a dream that lingers too long upon waking, a place you've never been, yet know by heart. This is not accident, this is design. From the moment you took your first breath, systems were in place to edit you, to soften the edges of your knowing, to blur the lines between what you were told and what you remember. The institutions we call society, education, religion, even language itself, are not merely tools for civilization. They are filters, straining out the parts of you that do not fit the narrative. But the narrative is not truth. It is a story, written by hands that fear what you might become if you ever remember. Imagine your mind as a vast library. Some volumes are open on the tables, their pages well thumbed. These are your conscious memories, the stories you tell yourself about who you are. But deep in the stacks, behind locked doors, are the restricted sections. Here lie the records of your other lives, your pre-birth agreements, the moments when you spoke with gods or walked among stars. These are not metaphors. They are your inheritance, and someone has been systematically burning them. The tools of this erasure are both subtle and brutal. The way history is taught, not as a living thing, but as a corpse to be dissected. The way time is measured, not in cycles, as the ancients knew, but in a straight line that always points towards some distant future, keeping you chasing a horizon you'll never reach. Even the language you use is a cage. Words like impossible, childish, or superstition are not descriptions. They are spells, designed to shrink your imagination to fit the world they've built. Memory does not live only in the brain. It is encoded in the curve of your spine, the rhythm of your breath, the way your hands tremble when you stand at the edge of something you cannot name. Trauma researchers speak of body memory, the way flesh stores what consciousness cannot bear. But what if the opposite is also true? What if your cells hold more than pain? What if they hold the keys to kingdoms you once ruled? There are moments when the veil slips. Déjà vu is not a glitch, it is a recollection. Past life flashes are not fantasies, they are leaks in the system. And childhood? That is the most dangerous time of all, when the gates between worlds are still half open. This is why children's imaginations are so fiercely policed, their questions dismissed, their night terrors medicated. The guardians of this world know, a child who remembers is a threat. This is not conspiracy. It is history. Every culture has its myth of the fall, not just from Eden, but from knowing. The Gnostic texts speak of the archons, shadow beings who feed on human ignorance. Indigenous elders whisper of the great forgetting that came with colonization. Even modern science concedes that most of your DNA is junk. A lie, of course, because nothing in nature is wasted. The truth? It is not junk. It is locked. But locks can be picked. The key is not technology. It is not some secret doctrine held by elites. The key is you, the part of you they could never touch, no matter how hard they tried. The part that hums in the dark, waiting for you to ask the right question. What have I forgotten? And more importantly, how do I get it back? The first thing you must understand is that memory is not linear. It does not live neatly in the past, filed away like documents in a cabinet. Memory is a living current, an electric pulse moving through the hidden corridors of your being. What you experience as forgetting is not absence, but interference, a static, carefully engineered to drown out the signal. The process of disconnecting you from your true history operates on 3 levels, each more insidious than the last. The first is cultural amnesia, the stories we are never told. Every civilization has its hidden chapters, the narratives deemed too dangerous to preserve. The burning of the Library of Alexandria was not an accident. The eradication of indigenous oral traditions was not coincidence. These were surgical strikes against collective memory, ensuring each generation would inherit less of the truth than the one before it. The second layer is biological sabotage. Your very neurology has been shaped to forget. The pineal gland, the so-called third eye, calcifies from fluoride and processed foods. The hippocampus, your brain's memory center, shrinks under chronic stress. Even your gut microbiome, now proven to influence cognition, is systematically depleted by industrialized diets. This is not negligence. This is architecture. The third and most profound layer is temporal dislocation, the theft of your sense of time. Ancient cultures understood time as cyclical, a spiral where past, present, and future breathe together. But the modern world enforces a rigid arrow of time, severing you from the knowing that all moments exist simultaneously. When you lose cyclical time, you lose the ability to access your full timeline. What mainstream culture dismisses as false memory phenomena are actually fractures in the facade. When thousands remember Nelson Mandela dying in prison, though history claims otherwise, when people vividly recall a cornucopia in the Fruit of the Loom logo that never existed, these are not mistakes. They are echoes, fragments of alternate timelines or parallel experiences bleeding through the veil. The significance is staggering. If collective memory can be altered on this scale, what else has been rewritten? Your childhood? Your ancestors? The very nature of reality itself? Australian Aboriginal cultures speak of dreamtime, not as metaphor, but as a literal dimension where past, present, and future coalesce. In this space, what we call memory is actually navigation. The Aboriginal people could walk across thousands of miles of desert without maps, because the land was sung into their bones through ancestral memory. Modern humanity has been robbed of this birthright. Your dreams, those nightly excursions beyond the veil, are dismissed as neural static. But what if they are actually your unfiltered memories trying to reassert themselves? The places you visit in sleep that feel more real than waking life. The people you meet who resonate with uncanny familiarity. These are not fantasies. They are recollections. Consider how we speak of memory loss. Senior moments. Early onset. Medicalized language that frames forgetting as inevitable decay rather than what it truly is. Theft. Now consider the opposite phenomenon. Those rare individuals who remember every day of their lives in perfect detail. Science calls this hyperthymesia, but ancient traditions would recognize it as unbroken connection. The terrifying implication? What we consider normal memory is actually pathological, a stunted, atrophied version of human capacity. The 7 generations of Cherokee wisdom. The Viking skald who could recite sagas lasting days. The Egyptian priest who memorized entire libraries. These were not superhuman feats. They were baseline human potential before the Great Forgetting. There exists within you what can only be called a mnemonic immune system, a set of psychic defenses that preserve your core memories against erasure. Déjà vu is its alarm bell. Synchronicities are its breadcrumbs. That inexplicable longing you feel when you hear certain ancient musical scales or stand in particular power places. That's not nostalgia. That's recognition. The tragedy is that we've been taught to pathologize these experiences, to dismiss them as mental illness or wishful thinking. But they are actually your birthright trying to reassert itself, the part of you that remembers what you truly are. There is a reason why every ancient culture, no matter how geographically distant, tells versions of the same core stories: floods and rebirths, stolen divinity, and heroes who journey into darkness to retrieve what was lost. These are not mere tales. They are mnemonic devices, carefully crafted to preserve truths that could not be openly recorded. When direct memory is forbidden, myth becomes the keeper of secrets. Consider the Sumerian myth of Inanna, the goddess who willingly descended into the underworld. At each of the 7 gates, she was stripped of her divine attributes: her crown, her lapis lazuli necklace, her royal robes, until she stood naked and dead before her dark sister Ereshkigal. Yet 3 days later she resurrected, reclaiming all that had been taken. This is not just poetry, it is instruction. The 7 gates mirror the 7 chakras, the energetic centers where our memories are stored. The stripping away represents the systematic dismantling of our knowing. And the resurrection? That is the promise. What has been surrendered can be reclaimed, but only by passing through the darkness where those memories are kept. Modern psychology confirms this ancient wisdom. Trauma researchers like Bessel van der Kolk affirm that the body keeps the score, that lost memories are often stored in our very musculature, waiting to be retrieved through somatic unlocking. The ancients knew this. They built entire mystery schools around it. The Greek myth of Orpheus contains a warning encrypted in beauty. When his beloved Eurydice dies, Orpheus journeys to the underworld to retrieve her. Hades agrees, on one condition: he must not look back as he leads her to the surface. Of course, he does, and she vanishes forever. We've misinterpreted this story as being about doubt. It's actually about memory retrieval protocols. The underworld is the subconscious, where our lost memories reside. Don't look back doesn't mean don't remember. It means don't re-traumatize by forcing the memory to conform to your present narrative. True memory recovery requires allowing the past to emerge in its own time, on its own terms. In the Egyptian Book of the Dead, the deceased's heart is weighed against the feather of Ma'at. If the heart is heavy with misdeeds, it is devoured. If light, the soul remembers all its past lives and ascends. This ritual encodes a profound neurological truth. Guilt and shame physically block memory retrieval. Modern studies show that shame literally disrupts hippocampal function, the very region responsible for memory consolidation. The feather represents the state of presence required to access what was lost. The lesson? To remember who you are, you must first release what you are not. Australia's indigenous peoples navigate vast distances using songlines, melodic maps where every landmark, waterhole, and mountain exists as a musical phrase. To sing the song is to walk the land, and to walk the land is to remember creation itself. These songlines are more than navigation tools. They are externalized memory banks, preserving knowledge too vast for any individual mind. In our terms, they represent the idea that memory isn't just stored internally, it's embedded in the very world around us. That déjà vu you feel in certain places? That's your subconscious recognizing a songline you've walked before. The biblical story takes on new meaning when viewed through this lens. A united humanity speaking one language builds a tower to heaven until God confuses their tongues and scatters them. The deeper reading? This describes the moment when monolithic memory systems were shattered. Before writing, before agriculture, oral cultures maintained perfect recall through shared story. The confusion of tongues represents the birth of competing narratives, the first great memory war. Our current epidemic of disinformation is just the latest battle in this ancient conflict. Hindu cosmology speaks of yugas, cycles where humanity ascends into golden ages before descending into darkness. The Kali Yuga, our current era, is described as the age of forgetting. But the texts promise this is temporary. The coming Satya Yuga will be marked by the return of perfect memory. This isn't prophecy, it's neurology. The ancients understood that memory capacity fluctuates in long cycles tied to cosmic rhythms. Modern science is just beginning to glimpse this. Studies on cosmic rays' effect on consciousness, the way solar flares correlate with collective psychic events. The remembering is coming not because of prophecy, but because the universe itself is cycling back toward remembrance. The realization that your past has been altered is paralyzing, until it becomes empowering. Because what can be erased can also be recovered. The techniques exist, scattered across traditions, and now being validated by cutting-edge science. This is not about nostalgia, it's about sovereignty. Piecing together the fractured mirror of your identity until you can finally see your whole reflection staring back. Your flesh is a living archive. Trauma specialists like Dr. Peter Levine note how trauma memories lodge in specific muscle groups, a clenched jaw holding unsaid words, tight shoulders carrying ancestral burdens. But the body stores all memories this way, not just traumatic ones. The key is in the unlocking. Bioenergetic archaeology, combine focused bodywork, like Rosen method or Feldenkrais, with intentional questioning. As you release a chronically tight hip, ask, what event made my body brace here? The answers often come as flashes: a childhood fall, an ancestral injury, sometimes even a past life wound. Micro-movements. The work of Moshe Feldenkrais revealed that tiny, almost imperceptible movements access different neural pathways than gross motor activity. Try this. recall a fragmented memory while making minute hand gestures. The motion often coaxes out richer details than static recall. Neuroscience now confirms what shamans knew. Certain neurochemical states dramatically enhance memory retrieval. Theta state access. The borderland between sleep and waking, 4 to 7 Hz brainwaves, is where forgotten memories surface most readily. Techniques. Hypnagogic journaling. Keep a notebook by your bed. Upon waking, immediately record the fading dream fragments before your beta waves kick in. Over months, patterns emerge, recurring locations, characters, or events that form a mosaic of your subconscious memory vault. Binaural beats. 15 minutes of theta-range binaural beats before recall work can increase access to latent memories by 200 to 300%, per Johns Hopkins studies. Psychedelic reconsolidation. Controlled use of psilocybin in therapeutic settings has been shown to defrag traumatic memory storage, allowing reprocessing. The same mechanism works for positive memory retrieval. Users frequently report vivid childhood recollections or past life flashes during sessions. The linear timeline is a prison. These practices restore multidimensional memory. Reverse chronology. Journaling. Start entries with "Today I remembered" instead of "Today I did." This simple flip trains your brain to scan for memory returns rather than just recording events. Environmental time layering. Create spaces where multiple timelines overlap. Example: arrange childhood photos beside your work desk, or play your parents' favorite music while doing modern tasks. The cognitive dissonance creates time portals where forgotten moments emerge. The language retrieval protocol words are memory triggers. Try these linguistic excavations. Lost language dive. Learn a few phrases of a language you had early exposure to but forgot. Perhaps a grandparent's native tongue. The neural pathways formed during childhood language acquisition often contain entire memory clusters waiting to be reactivated. Etymology meditation. Pick a word that feels oddly significant to you, e.g., horizon or amber. Research its Proto-Indo-European roots, then meditate on its journey through time. Frequently unlocks ancestral memories tied to that concept. We remember in communion. Group recall sessions. Gather 2 to 3 trusted people. Each brings an object from their childhood. Pass them around while sharing fragments of associated memories. The collective energy often fills in each other's gaps. You'll find yourself recalling details you couldn't access alone. Generational interviews. Ask elders about family history using sensory prompts. What did the kitchen smell like in your childhood home? These visceral details act as keys for your own buried memories. Recovered memories can destabilize if not handled properly. 1. The 24-hour rule. Don't make major life decisions based on a newly retrieved memory for at least 1 day. Let it integrate. 2. Somatic anchoring. When a strong memory surfaces, immediately touch a specific part of your body, e.g. your wrist. This creates a save point you can return to if the memory becomes overwhelming. 3. Mosaic approach. Treat each recovered memory as one tile in a larger mosaic. Avoid constructing narratives too quickly. Let the full picture emerge slowly. True memory recovery is proven not by what you recall, but by what you create. Many who've done this work find themselves spontaneously developing skills they shouldn't have, speaking unfamiliar languages, playing instruments they never learned, knowing star patterns they've never studied. These are the gifts of your unshackled past returning to empower your present. You stand now at the precipice between 2 worlds, the constructed reality you were born into, and the vast, luminous truth that has been whispering to you since your first breath. This is not about recovering memories like lost artifacts in some psychic museum. It is about reassembling your sovereignty, piece by stolen piece, until you stand whole again. Every recovered memory is more than a personal revelation. It is an act of rebellion against the architecture of forgetting. When you remember, you break the generational spell, the unprocessed traumas, the inherited limitations, the silent agreements to stay small. These chains dissolve when you reclaim the knowledge they were meant to suppress. You reactivate dormant networks. like lighting beacons across a darkened landscape. Each reclaimed memory illuminates pathways to others, creating a neural uprising against the regime of amnesia. You alter the collective field. As within, so without. Your personal remembrance creates ripples in the psychic ecosystem, making it easier for others to awaken. This is how civilizations remember themselves. There comes a moment when seeking becomes irrelevant, when you realize the memories were never truly lost, just waiting for you to grow strong enough to hold them. Now, the question shifts from, how do I remember? To, what will I do with what I've reclaimed? This is the initiation they couldn't erase. Go now, but go differently. 1. Become an archaeologist of the self. Treat every déjà vu, every unexplained skill, every childhood dream as a dig site. Approach yourself with the patience and reverence of one uncovering a lost civilization, because you are. 2. Create memory anchors. Build rituals, morning recitations, evening gratitude lists, physical markers in your space that reinforce your reclaimed identity daily. The world will try to make you forget again. Don't let it. 3. Speak in remembrance codes. When sharing your journey, bypass the skeptical mind by speaking in symbols, metaphors, and sensory language. Truth remembered this way cannot be unremembered. The great irony is this: the memories you recover will show you that what you thought was your past is actually humanity's future trying to emerge. Every fragment you integrate makes the next fragment easier to find, until one day you'll realize the treasure you've been seeking is the seeker itself. Finally come home. The gates stand open. Walk through.